What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is the first part of a story where Issei was trained by both twin sons of the legendary Dark Knight, SPARDA, Dante and Vergil. Issei Hyoudou, a teenage boy who attended a school called Kuoh Academy and dreamt of being the Harem King. But a part of him has always thought that what he does is for nothing, like he's wasting his time. One day, he stumbles upon a strange portal that allowed him to meet two people who changed his life. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now, let's get into part 1. Third-person POV. For as long as anyone could remember, since the dawn of creation, there have always been two sides, two enemies. A small beautiful blue light appeared, leaving us in awe. Light and darkness, good and evil, creation and destruction. The crimson red light also appeared out of nowhere, mirroring the blue one. Long ago, there lived a legendary Dark Knight who protected the world of humans from demons, sealing his own fate. The lights moved fluidly as if searching for something, or rather, someone. After many years, the demons got their revenge against the traitor who sealed them away, but his two children remained. The lights continued their search. Those children grew up to be mighty warriors, legendary beings known throughout both heaven and hell. Soon, the lights arrived at their destination, revealing the image of a teenage boy. But now, it was time for a new person to take up their mantle. A new chapter in the history of Sparta. The lights glimmered as they flew into the boy's body, and a bright light illuminated everything. The frigid night enveloped the town of Kuoh, sending shivers down spines with the whispers of the wind. Streets lay barren and empty, with everyone cuddled up in their warm beds, deep in slumber. An alleyway marked by darkness remained the only place where a black cat could be seen scavenging through a paper bag, searching for scraps of food to settle its appetite. Suddenly, the cat froze in place, startled by the approach of footsteps. It spun around and scurried away in fear, abandoning the bag of food. The cat's runaway was understandable, given that the figure making its way down the alleyway had glowing yellow eyes. The figure shook its head, watching the cat retreating in fear, before continuing down the alleyway, arriving at a building with a glowing neon sign that read, "Devil May Cry." As the figure narrowed its eyes at the building, a sense of satisfaction filled the air. Finally, inside the building, a room with a pool table and two red couches in the corner. Behind the couches lay a large speaker system, and several instruments leaned against the wall, including an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, and a drum set. Resting beside the instruments was a jukebox. At the back of the room stood a large desk that held 3 picture frames side by side, a box of half-eaten pizza, a pair of handguns, and a ringing phone. Suddenly, the door beside the desk was kicked open, revealing a teenage boy with messy brown hair that casted noticeable shadows around his head, like his hair was also chocolate brown in color. This was none other than Issei Hyoudou, a rather unique individual. The boy's hair was dripping wet from the shower he had just taken. Wearing only a pair of black pants and boots, Issei ran his hands through his still wet hair, not caring that he wasn't wearing a shirt. But steam still rising off his body from the hot shower, Issei walked towards his desk and noticed that he had left his chair lying on the floor, leaning on its side. He shrugged his shoulders and kicked the fallen chair into the air. After the chair performed 5 flips, it landed on the ground at an angle. Issei then performed a fluid motion that had him sit on the chair at the exact moment its other 2 legs touched the floor, while also giving him the momentum to kick his feet up onto his desk. He purposely dropped one of his feet harder on the desk, causing his phone to fly up in the air. The device would have hit the wall if not for Issei catching it without looking. Without checking the caller ID, Issei answered the phone. "Issei. Sorry, not open for business yet." Giving the caller no time to speak, Issei disconnected the call and flipped the phone back onto his table, ignoring how it landed perfectly back into place. The brown-haired boy then let out a small sigh as he shook his head. "Issei. I still have a lot to do before I can reopen this place." Issei then reached over to one of the pizza boxes, picked up a slice, and was about to take a bite. However, before he could, the double doors to his office opened. Issei looked over and saw that the person standing in the doorway was a young man with short, neatly styled white hair and striking red eyes. The man's face was sharp and angular, giving him an almost otherworldly appearance. From the way the man was dressed, Issei couldn't help but feel a strong priestly vibe emanating from him. The man wore a long white coat with gold trimmings that fell to his ankles, and beneath it, a black collared shirt with black slacks. A rosary hung around his neck, glinting in the light that filtered in the building. "Issei. This dude looks like a psychopath." Issei shook his head, chiding himself for judging a book by its cover. He knew better than to assume anything about a person based solely on their appearance, even if this particular person seemed to be screaming psychopath. "Issei. You a customer?" The man chuckled, a sound that sent shivers down Issei's spine. His smirk was not a normal one, it had a sinister quality to it that made Issei's skin crawl. "Man. Are you Issei Hyoudou?" "Issei. Who wants to know?" The man merely smirked at the brown-haired boy's words. "Man. My boss." Issei didn't like that tone, not one bit. He could tell by the sing-song tone of his voice, making it clear that he was not to be trusted. Issei raised an eyebrow, trying to keep his cool. "Issei. Okay, then. What's the message? If your boss wants to fight me, I'm disappointed that he sent you." The man only chuckled in response. "Man. Do not be alarmed, my master didn't send me here to fight you. He only wants me to deliver the message." Issei watched warily as the white-haired man slowly placed his hands on the edges of the table. He had a bad feeling about this. "Man. Please accept it." The man said no more before suddenly flipping the table over, sending all the objects on it flying into the air. Issei used one leg to kick off the object and backflip into the air, narrowly dodging the rolling table. After the table rolled into the wall, Issei landed on top of the upturned piece of furniture and grabbed a white gun from midair, aiming it in front of him. But the man had mysteriously vanished into thin air. Issei looked around the room, trying to locate him, but all he saw were his picture frames lying across the floor, as well as a black gun. Issei couldn't help but smirk, impressed by the man's disappearing act. He holstered the white gun and jumped off his desk, raising his left hand just in time to catch his falling pizza box. "Issei. Invitation, huh?" As Issei picked up a slice of pizza, he intended to eat it until 4 demons suddenly appeared out of nowhere and impaled his torso with scythes. Being impaled through the torso with several scythes would kill anyone, no matter how tough and resilient they are. It is impossible to survive such an attack. However, Issei Hyoudou was an exception. Suddenly, Issei thrusts one hand out at the demonic creature in front of him, knocking the demon back into the far wall. The force is enough to kill the demon after it collides with the wall, turning it to dust. The rest of the demons were caught off guard, and none of them moved as Issei walked away from them, taking one demon for the journey after it got its scythe stuck in his back. The demon struggled to pull out its stuck scythe, but all it managed to accomplish was to scratch the floorboards while Issei walked towards his jukebox, unhindered. Stopping for a second, Issei backkicks the stuck demon into the air, causing it to drop on the other 2 demons. With the demon out of the way, Issei walks towards the jukebox, seemingly ignoring the broken demon's side that's sticking out of his chest. Much to his delight, the black gun is lying beside his jukebox, along with the pizza box he dropped after getting impaled. Walking past his handgun, Issei picks up a slice of pizza before pulling out the broken scythe from his chest, spilling blood all over the floor. He doesn't even flinch as he does so. At this point, the demons have recovered from the shock and lunge at the boy while his back is turned. Their simultaneous attack doesn't work. Just as the demons were about to strike him, Issei throws the scythe over his head and straight into his ceiling fan. The blade cuts through the fan support and the spinning blades drop on top of the demon, killing it almost instantaneously. Issei strikes a pose, keeping his hand up in the air while pointing a lone finger upwards. His posture showcases his impaled and injured body. The large holes in his torso start to close up before they vanish entirely, leaving nothing but the blood sliding off his chest. He doesn't need to turn around to know that more demons are showing up in his office out of nowhere. A small smirk grows onto the brown-haired boy's face. "Issei. This party's getting crazy. Let's rock." Issei presses a button on his jukebox, but it fails to play any music. After trying to turn it on again and again, the boy awkwardly looks at the waiting demons behind him before smashing his fist into the device. While his fist crushes the top of the jukebox, it does its intended job and plays some rock music. Tapping his foot and nodding his head to the rhythm of the music, Issei puts the pizza slice into his mouth and turns around to punch an incoming demon in the face, smashing its skull into paste. The other demons attack, but Issei shows off his martial arts skills by killing each one with his hands and feet. After killing his 3rd demon with a swift kick and stuffing the rest of the pizza in his mouth, Issei pulls out the white gun from his pants and leans back to avoid a demon's swinging scythe. Another demon moves in to attack, but soon finds the boy's white gun in its face. A second later, a hole is blown through the demon's face. Turning towards the previous demon, Issei jumps over it as it lunges at him and lands on top of its back. With one foot still on top of the demon's back, Issei uses his other to kick off the floor and use the immobilized demon as a makeshift skateboard. Cheering loudly, Issei grabs the black gun off the floor as he skates past it and starts spinning the demon around so he can shoot the rest of the demons while performing 360-degree spins. 4 more demons fall to Issei's guns, and one of them crashes through the bottom of the brown-haired boy's pool table, breaking 2 of its legs and making it into a ramp of sorts. Issei doesn't miss the opportunity and skates the demon up the pool table. He backflips off the demon before it crashes into his ceiling. At the same time, another demon jumps at the boy but misses and lands on the end of the pool table. Issei lands on the upper half of the pool table, launching the unfortunate demon on the other side into the air and through the ceiling. Here's the corrected version. Landing in front of the pool table as it flips, time seems to slow down as the pool balls fly past the boy's head. Once the cue ball flies over Issei's shoulder, he raises the black gun and fires at it. The bullet hits the cue ball and knocks it at the pile of flying pool balls, which shoot in all directions, knocking and embedding into the surrounding demons. Issei then grabs a metal sword with a skull on it from his waist, turns around, and cuts the pool table in half, before kicking the upper half into a demon on his right, and Spartan kicks the lower half into a lunging demon in front of him. Leaning the sword over his shoulder, Issei looks around and sees no more demons, at least none that are alive anyway. He then sees the state of his office, with holes in his ceiling, floorboards, and even his walls. His pool table, office desk, and music equipment are destroyed. Issei lets out a sigh as he shakes his head in both disappointment and annoyance. Issei. What a mess. This is gonna cost a fortune to repair. Dante is so gonna kill me. Putting his sword away, he walks over to the coat hanger and takes off a red trench coat before walking towards the door. Stopping in front of his door, Issei gives his office another look over before shaking his head and smirking. Issei. I can already tell, looks like this is gonna be one hell of a party. Third person POV. Silence. Peace. Quiet. These are the defining qualities of the small yet well-populated town of Kuoh. Nestled in a picturesque valley surrounded by lush green hills, this charming town seems to exist in a world of its own. Although very little is known about its origins, one thing is certain. Kuoh is anything but boring. Despite its tranquil setting, Kuoh is a town that is always buzzing with activity. From its bustling markets to its lively festivals, there is always something interesting happening in this town. The locals are friendly and hospitable, always ready to welcome visitors with a warm smile and a helpful hand. If one were to walk through the town, they wouldn't be able to help but marvel at its unique blend of tradition and modernity. The old-fashioned architecture of the buildings stands in stark contrast to the sleek and modern cars that zip through the streets. It is a place where the past and the present coexist in perfect harmony. Kuoh is a hidden gem that is waiting to be discovered. It is a town that invites you to slow down, take a deep breath, and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. Whether you are looking for a peaceful retreat or an exciting adventure, Kuoh has something to offer everyone. However unknown to the people of Kuoh, they don't know there were these creatures among them. And those creatures could be anything they never imagined: devil, angels, fallen angels, dragons, monsters and more. But that is a story for another time. Right now our story begins in a place known as Kuoh Academy. Kuoh Academy, named after the small town that it was in. There isn't really much known about the school, other than the fact that it was originally an all-girls private school. At some point, Kuoh Academy changed into a co-ed school, and a new school building was made. The Kuoh Academy has several divisions such as the primary division, high school division, and college division. Since it was still early in the morning, not many students arrived at the school. There were a few, but more will come later on. But, currently there was a group of girls. One was a blonde-haired girl with green eyes, one was a ginger-haired girl with blue eyes, and the final one was a blue-haired girl with silver eyes. Girl 1. Hey, you girls wanna hang out later? Girl 2. I would love to. Girl 3. Sorry, I can't. I have to take my little brother to soccer practice. Girl 1. Speaking of which, how is the little goofball? Girl 3. He's doing alright, how about your family? The girl was about to respond, but before she could, the sound of footsteps could be heard approaching. The trio of girls turned to the source of the footsteps, and they saw someone they all hated: Issei Hyoudou. Issei Hyoudou, the most perverted boy in the entire school and leader of the perverted trio. Due to Issei's perverted nature, he has become an enemy to all women in the school, whether they be student or teacher. The girls groaned in annoyance as they grew looks of disgust from the sight of the brown-haired boy. They hated the fact that he walked the same ground as them. They really wished that he would just disappear and never return. Girl 3. Ugh, it's Hyoudou. Girl 1. Let's go somewhere else. The girls walked off as Issei couldn't help but sigh to himself. Yet another day of the same routine. He comes to school, basically gets death glares from all the girls, and goes home, so the cycle can repeat itself. Issei. Well, I can already tell that this is gonna be a great day. He just shook his head. He might as well get this over with. Time skip brought to you by Dante cooking pizza. Currently, it was lunchtime, and Is was just chilling on a patch of grass with his two best friends. The first was Motohama, a teenage boy with brown hair and green eyes. There wasn't really anything special about him, but he did wear a pair of glasses. The second boy was Mitsuda. He was slightly taller than Mitsuda and Issei with short gray hair and blue eyes. The trio laid where they were in complete and utter silence, but before long Motohama soon broke it. Motohama. So. You boys free to spy on the kendo girls today? Mitsuda. Oh, hell yeah. Issei sighed. Issei. I'm not sure guys. Mitsuda. Huh. What do you mean? Several female students jogged near the perverted trio, not noticing their presence. Issei. Mitsuda, Motohama. Why are we enrolling in this school? Motohama. Kuoh, a private academy, had switched only a few years ago from being an all-girls school to a co-ed one. That's why there's an overwhelming number of girls, not to mention the ample amount of beautiful foreigners. Mitsuda. And so, the males are outnumbered. In other words, even if they keep quiet, they will surely be popular. It truly is just like a marriage. Issei shook his head. Issei. And yet there goes another spring without us getting a girlfriend. Motohama. It feels vacant inside. Issei soon sat up. Issei. Maybe we should just give you. Suddenly, the trio heard some girly screams of excitement. They turned their heads and saw the girls who were jogging and speaking to someone. The person was none other than Hyoudou Kiba. Kiba was a handsome young man with short blonde hair, blue eyes, and a mole underneath his left eye. Female student 1. Kiba, what are you doing later? Female student 2. Say, you're going to karaoke with us later, right? Kiba chuckled slightly as he scratched the back of his head. Kiba. Sorry, I have club activities right now. Girls. Yeah, is that so? Kiba nodded his head. Kiba. I'm really sorry, maybe another time. With that, the blonde-haired boy turned and started walking off. Mitsuda adjusted his glasses. Mitsuda. Second-year student, Class C, Hyoudou Kiba. The subject of adoration from all the girls, an enemy to the rest of us. Motohama. Damn it. He only looks nicer, smarter, and is better than us in class, shows off too. Issei watched as Kiba left the area, narrowing his eyes as he did. For some reason, Issei felt something strange about Kiba, but he wasn't sure what it was. Actually, he has had this strange feeling for most of the day. Issei wasn't sure why he was getting this feeling. It wasn't like he was attracted to the blonde-haired boy. Issei is straight and will forever be straight. He loves boobs and nothing but them. Issei. Maybe, I'm imagining things. Mitsuda. Yo, Issei. You okay? Issei blinked as he snapped out of his thoughts. Issei. Huh? What you say? Mitsuda. I said if you were okay. You just spaced out for a second there. Issei was confused. Did he really space out? That didn't sound like him. He normally never does such a thing unless he thinks about boobs. If it was that, then his friends wouldn't snap him out of it. Issei. Mitsuda. You alright bro? Issei. Why yeah, I'm alright. Motohama. You sure? You don't sound fine. Issei waved it off. Issei. Yeah, I'm good. Just a bit tired is all. Motohama. If you want, you don't have to come with us to spy on the kendo girls. You can go take a nap or go back home. Issei sighed. Issei. Guys, I'm fine. There's no need to worry. Motohama. Well if you say so. Mitsuda. Come on. We have boobs and butts to see. Issei merely chuckled as he stood up with his two buddies. There was no way he was missing out on something like this. Sure, he was curious about what the hell just happened to himself. But maybe he was just imagining things, maybe he just needs extra sleep. Mini time skip brought to you by DMC6. The trio were currently spying on the kendo girls through a peephole behind the changing rooms building. Issei. How the hell are we even seeing through this hole? Mitsuda. Don't question and I'm logic. Issei. Wait, what now? Motohama. SSH. Here they come. The trio watched the girls change as they grew perverted grins. Both Motohama and Mitsuda were hogging all of the hole, while Issei only got sneak peeks. Much to his annoyance. However, both Mitsuda and Motohama almost went pale when they saw who was with the kendo girls changing. The person was a petite girl around 16 to 17 years old with white hair and hazel eyes. At the front, her hair had two long bangs going past her shoulders and several loose bangs hanging over her forehead, while the back has a short bob cut. She also wore a black cat-shaped hair clip on both sides of her hair. This person was none other than Kaneko Taoju, the mascot of Kuoh Academy. Mitsuda. Oh shit. Issei. What is it? Motohama. We're so dead. Issei. What? Let me see. Mitsuda. Issei, keep your voice down. Issei glared at his friends. Issei. Well, tell me what's going on. Mitsuda. It's the mascot of our school, we need to leave before. And where do you think you three are going? The trio paled as they looked behind them to see Kaneko herself glaring at the three boys. And to make things worse, she wasn't alone either. Behind her was the entire kendo club, who were fully dressed and had their weapons in their hands. Issei silently sighed to himself. Motohama. We told you to keep your voice down. Issei. I blame you too for this. If you told me then I would have. Mitsuda. Fuck you, Issei. Issei. Hey. No one says fuck me and gets away with it. Mitsuda flipped the brown-haired boy off. Mitsuda. Just did, fuck you. Motohama. You can fuck each other later. Right now, we need to escape. Issei. Well, looks like we have no choice but to use the secret J technique. Mitsuda grew a shocked expression, almost like it was from JoJo. Mitsuda. You don't mean. Issei nodded his head. Motohama. If we fail, it's been an honor to serve with you. Mitsuda. Amen, brothers. The girls were confused at what the trio were talking about, while Kaneko deadpanned and knew what they were talking about. Pendo Girl 1. What the hell are you airs talking about? Pendo Girl 2. You three don't know any technique, you don't even have muscles. Issei grew a small yet confident smirk. Issei. That's where you're wrong, my dear. There is this technique that is only known to us men. Pendo Girl 3. Well, what is it? The trio stood up before exhaling and. Trio. Ninjarandeo. The trio proceeded to run away from Kaneko and the Kendo girls as fast as their legs to run. This caused the girls minus Kaneko, who was still deadpanning, to have their eyes widen in shock. Pendo Girl 4. After them. Pendo Girl 5. And show no mercy. But that, the Kendo girls chased after the perverted trio while Kaneko shook her head. Kaneko. Idiots. Time skip brought to you by Volley and Vergil being the same dude. Here is the corrected paragraph. After escaping the beatdown of the century, the day had come to an end and it was time for all the students to return to their homes. The once blue sky had changed into a deep orange color that was jaw-dropping from its beauty. Issei said goodbye to his best friends, going their separate ways since they lived in different parts of Kuoh. He was deep in thought for most of his trip, still wondering what the hell had caused him to space out like that when he saw Kiba. Issei. Why can't I stop thinking about that feeling? Here is the edited paragraph with additional details on the sunset. Issei shook this thought out of his mind. He didn't have time to worry about stupid things like that. Plus, there was a chance that he was only jealous of the blonde, since he always gets the girls. Yeah, that had to be the case. There would be no other reason for Issei to think this much about Kiba. Also, Issei isn't gay, and he doesn't care if people are like that because they don't affect him at all. As Issei was walking, he soon arrived at a bridge which gave him a better look at the magnificent sunset happening right before his eyes. The sun was setting in the west and painted the sky with a range of colors, from vibrant oranges and pinks to soft purples and blues. The clouds seemed to be ablaze with the warm golden light of the sun, casting long shadows across the landscape. The water below the bridge was sparkling with the reflection of the sunset, and it seemed as if the entire world was bathed in a warm, peaceful glow. Issei couldn't help but stop and take in the sight, feeling a sense of calm and wonder wash over him. It was a moment of pure beauty and serenity, and Issei was grateful to witness it. Issei. Heh, such a beautiful sight. Excuse me. Issei. Huh. Issei turned his head to the source of the voice, and to his surprise, it was a girl. But not just any girl, she was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. The moment Issei laid eyes on her, he was utterly smitten. The girl's school uniform was unfamiliar to him, but that only added to the allure. Issei. Yes, can I help you? Yuma. Hi, I'm Yuma Mono. Yuma Mono. Issei took in her appearance. She was breathtaking beauty with a slender frame and an ample bosom. Her violet eyes and silky black hair cascading down to her hips left Issei in a daze. Issei, and nice to meet you, Yuma. I'm Issei. Yuma. And nice to meet you, Issei. Issei. So, what can I help you with? Yuma. I've been having my eye on you for a while now and I wanted to ask if you could be my boyfriend. Issei's eyes widened in shocked. Did a girl just ask him to be her boyfriend? Did he hear that correctly, or is his brain messing with him again? There is absolutely no way this was happening. The last time he had ever spoken to someone of the opposite gender was either when he's being yelled by the female teachers or attacked by the Kendo girls. Besides that, no female dared to even get close to him. Obviously this was because of his perverted nature, but still. The fact that a girl was asking him such a question. It almost felt unreal. Issei. Say that again. Yuma. I asked if you could be my boyfriend. Issei. Oh okay, so I wasn't imagining it, well. Aye. Issei took a deep breath and let out a calm sigh. He can't be freaking out right now. If he does, then his one and all chance to actually get a girlfriend shall slip through his finger. Issei. I guess I got no reason to say to a beautiful young woman like you. Yuma blushes and a smile spreads across her face. Yuma. Great. Let's meet up on Sunday for our date. Issei chuckled. Issei. Sure thing. After that, Yuma gave Issei her phone number and left him on the bridge. He was still surprised by what had just happened, but he can't help but feel a sense of excitement that he has finally gotten a girlfriend. Issei. Man, nothing can ruin this moment. And as if the universe itself heard Issei's words, a strange portal appeared right in front of him. A hitch caused the boy to jump in surprise. Issei. What the? He stared at the swirling vortex as a sense of dread and fear washed over him. Why did he have to jinx himself, like why did he? Issei gulped as he continued to stare at the portal right before him, but suddenly, the brown-haired boy felt strange. It was similar to the feeling he was getting when he saw Kiba. It was jealousy or anything like feelings. It was something else entirely. He wasn't sure why, but he felt like the portal was meant to appear in front of him. He felt like he should walk through it. Issei slowly reached his hand out towards the portal. He shouldn't be doing this, but he can't help himself. As soon as he touched the portal, he instantly passed through it and found himself in a strange new place. Issei's instincts instantly took over and he tried to get out of wherever he currently was, but before he could do that though, the portal closed. Issei. Oh. That's not good. Issei facepalmed himself. Why did he have to let his curiosity get the better of him? Why did he have to go and touch the glowing vortex? As they say, curiosity killed the cat in the perv. Issei. I am so bloody stupid. Issei started to look around to see where the portal had taken him. It wasn't a place he was familiar with, they was for certain. It looked like a barren wasteland, but there was dark red grass all around him. Issei. Where the hell was I taken? As Issei was about to go into his thoughts, he soon heard something which got his attention. He looked in the direction and raised an eyebrow. The noise sounded like two swords clashing. He looked to see two men, one with a dark black-blue coat holding a katana and the other with a dark dirty reddish coat holding a large great sword. Issei was speechless as he watched the two fight. They seemed to be evenly matched with one another, since neither appeared to be injured at all. But they did look winded, which meant that they must have been fighting each other for quite some time now. Whoever they were, Issei gets the feeling they aren't human. Maybe it was because of their weapons. One looks like a regular katana that doesn't seem to be blunt yet, while the other one looks like it's made of skin. Either way, Issei knew that if he were to ever fight them, he was as good as dead. Issei. Not the self, don't do anything to fight those two. The two kept clashing until monsters came out of nowhere and tried to attack them. Issei almost paled from the sight of the monsters. They were like something out of a horror movie. In fact, he almost lost all his color when one ran by him on its way toward the two men. Issei. Thank God it didn't see me. The two looked at the monsters and began to slaughter them all with ease. As Issei watched, he couldn't help but be awestruck by the two's moves. Personally, Issei wasn't really much of a swordsman type person, but he did know that his grandpa loved them. Anytime Issei would visit, he would always show him a new one which would leave the boy with stars sparkling in his eyes. That's also another reason why he peeps on specifically the kendo group most, cause maybe he can give them some help by asking his grandpa to give them some training. Bread. Ha. Too easy. Blue. Foolish demons. They can't take down the sons of Sparta. Hearing this gained Issei's attention. Issei. Sparta. I wonder who that is. Just then, Issei gestured a growl behind him which filled him with fear as he slowly turned his head to see one of those monsters behind him. It growled at Issei as drool escaped from its mouth. Issei. Crap. The demon charged at Issei and prepared to devour him, but it was shot by multiple bullets. As the bullets pierced the demon, blood landed on Issei's face as it collapsed to the ground, dead. That was a close one, you nearly got eaten there, kid. Issei slowly turned his head and saw the man wearing the red trench coat walking over, two guns in his hands, one black and the other white. Red. Who are you and how did you end up in hell? Issei. What? The man in the blue trench coat walked over to both Issei and the man, sheathing his katana. Dante, who is this human? The man called Dante looked at the other man. Dante. Not sure, Vergil. That's kinda why I asked him. Issei. I'm Issei Hyoudou. Dante. Well, nice to meet you, kid. The name's Dante. He then pointed at Vergil. Dante. Tall, dark, and broody. Over here is my brother, Vergil. Vergil glared at Dante, not liking the way he basically described him. Issei. And nice to meet you both, but what do you mean by this place is hell? Dante. Yeah, this is hell. Vergil sighed. Vergil. This isn't hell, it's the demon world which is a part of hell. Issei. But isn't still technically hell? Vergil. In some ways, yes. Issei just tilted his head, pretty confused right now. Dante. Anyways, why are you here? I thought we sealed up the gateway to the demon world. Issei scratched the back of his head and chuckled nervously. Issei. Well, some portal appeared in front of me and I went through it. Dante. A portal came out of nowhere. Issei nodded. Vergil. And you walked into it? Issei nodded again. Vergil punched the bridge of his nose and let out a sigh of annoyance. Vergil. Of course you did. Issei. Hey. Don't blame me, it just felt like I was meant to come here. Vergil raised an eyebrow. Vergil. So destiny was telling you to come here? Issei simply shrugs. Issei. I'm not sure myself. Vergil. Well. I can't make a portal back to the human world because you're not from this world. Issei blinked. Issei. What? Dante. What do you mean, Vergil? Just open a portal with the Yamato. Vergil sighed. Vergil. I can't because he's not from our world. Dante. But that blade can literally cut portals through any dimension in the universe. Vergil sighed once again, this time it sounded like he was starting to get annoyed. Vergil. I know that, but he must be from another universe different from ours. Dante crossed his arms. Dante. What makes you think that? Vergil looked at Issei, narrowing his eyes, which creeped the boy out quite a bit. Vergil. Because I feel a power within, one that isn't from this world. Hearing this gained both Issei's and Dante's attention, as they both were wondering what Vergil meant. Issei. What do you mean? Vergil crossed his arms. Vergil. It's difficult for me to explain, even I don't understand. Issei soon groaned as he sat down on the ground, lowering his head in sadness. Issei. So, I'm basically stuck in another universe, and just when I finally got a date. Great, just my luck. Dante. Ouch. Issei. My life is ruined. Dante. I know how you feel. Issei looked up at Dante. Issei. How? With your looks, you should get tons of ladies. Vergil. And his dates have been ruined 296 times because of demons. Issei's jaw nearly struck the ground as he looked at Dante. Dante. Yeah, I got some of them almost killed and waiting, making them think I stood them up. Issei. Damn, that's gotta suck. Dante. Yep. Issei looked at Vergil. Issei. So, you said your sword can open a portal out of here? Vergil nodded. Issei. Then, why haven't you both left yet? Dante. We had business. Issei crossed his arms as he deadpanned. Issei. Looks more like a brotherly fight. Dante. Call if what you want. Issei shook his head. Issei. So. What happens to me now? Apparently I can't go back home now. Vergil. Maybe you can. Both Dante and Issei looked at Vergil. Vergil. We can help you. Issei. What? Dante. Vergil. Can I say something real quick? Vergil. What, Dante? Dante. First of all, we barely know this kid, so why should we help? Dante then looked at Issei. Dante. No offense. Issei waved it off, he was used to the hate. Dante. Also, when did you care? Just a while ago you didn't even care that you had a son. Issei. Wait, seriously? Dante looked back at Issei. Dante. Long story. No time to explain now. Vergil. For your question, Dante, I see potential in this boy. Dante deadpanned. Dante. So you would choose some random kid over your own son? Vergil crossed his arms. Vergil. And you don't think this boy has potential? Dante was about to answer, but couldn't until he looked at Issei. Dante knew that he couldn't leave the brown-haired boy in the demon world, there's always annoying critters hiding in the shadows, plus there's a chance he would awaken Mundus without his knowledge. Dante let out a small sigh, scratching the back of his head. Dante. Yeah, I guess you're right, Vergil. Issei. Why do you see potential in me? You barely even know me. Vergil. Doesn't matter, plus your universe has piqued my interest. Dante. Oh boy, this is gonna be one hell of a party. Vergil. Don't you dare say I. Dante. Cause we just hit the jackpot. Third person POV. Redgrave City. Redgrave was a nice looking place, features mostly neoclassical architecture typical of the Victorian era, with some older structures such as the cathedral. Speaking of a long history. It is not without modern features, however, including recent-looking apartment blocks, a neon-lit district, and a subway network. A large bridge is used to cross the nearby river. There are many old-fashioned features such as red telephone boxes and numerous statues in public areas. There is also an industrial area with a rail freight terminal. It was a peaceful and serene night in the city of Redgrave. The streets were deserted, and the only sound that could be heard was the occasional rustle of leaves as the gentle breeze blew through the trees. All the residents of the city were fast asleep in their cozy beds, completely unaware of the strange events that were about to unfold. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a bright and blinding portal appeared in a small alleyway. The portal seemed to be emitting an otherworldly energy as three newcomers, Dante, Vergil, and Issei Hyoudou, came through the vortex. As they stepped out of the portal, they were greeted by the tranquil sight of the sleeping city. The three of them stood there, taking in the beauty of the surroundings. Issei's expressions were a mix of wonder and excitement. The ethereal energy irradiating from the portal seemed to have a calming effect on him, and they couldn't help but feel a sense of peace wash over him. Issei. Whoa. What is this place? Dante. Kid, welcome to Red Grave City. Issei raised an eyebrow. Issei. Red Grave? I've never heard of that before. Vergil. You forget you're in our world, so Red Grave City doesn't exist in yours. Issei. I know that, I just figured there would be at least some similarities to mine. Dante chuckled as he patted Issei on the back. Dante. Don't worry, kid. You'll get back to your world before you know it. Issei looked up at the white-haired man. Issei. Really? Dante merely shrugged his shoulders. He had absolutely no idea because this was a first for him. Like, demons existing is one thing, but there being whole other universes. Talk about a crazy day. Issei. Thanks for increasing my hopes. Dante. No problem. Vergil merely sighed and shook his head. He wasn't surprised by his brother's actions. Only disappointed. Vergil. Dante, where is that hideous facility you call a shop? Dante. Hey. It has a name. Vergil. I do not care to learn its name. Dante sighs and shook his head. Issei. You have a shop. Dante. It's where people call me and give me jobs to slay demons, and it's not far from here. Hearing this piqued Issei's interest. Dante was becoming more and more interesting by the second. Issei. What's it called? Dante smirked. Dante. Devil May Cry. Issei had to say, the name sounded badass. In fact, he felt like it should be the name of a bloody video game franchise. That would be very good, he was sure that many people would enjoy it. Issei. Not a bad name, has a nice ring to it. Dante chuckled. Dante. I know, right? I picked it mice. Vergil. Are you both done? Dante and Issei looked at Vergil, who had his arms crossed. A disappointed expression slapped on his face. Vergil. We do not have time for this. I would like to start THR boys training as soon as possible. Dante sighed. Why did his brother have to be such a killjoy? Dante. Yeah. Come on, it's not far from here. And so, the trio walked off to Dante's shop. As they were walking though, Issei took the chance to see more and more of the city of Red Grave. While it was beautiful, it also looked like it was recovering from a battle. No doubt something that Dante and Vergil caused, which Issei kinda doesn't want to know about. Issei. Geez, it's almost like a world war has took place. Dante. Cause there was one. Issei. Seriously? Were you two involved? Dante. In a way we. Vergil. Enough, we are here. The trio stopped as Issei looked and saw himself in front of a building with a sign that said, Devil May Cry on it. Issei couldn't help but chuckle, he expected something a little more flashy, but either way, it was still a marvelous sight. The three of them entered and Issei got a look what the inside looked like. It was pretty messy, but it looked like a pretty cool place to live in. Issei. Despite the trash. Not a bad place. Dante. Thanks, but this place isn't cheap. Vergil remained silent for the most part, not really reacting to everything around him. Suddenly, the trio soon stopped as they heard a pair of footsteps and quickly turned to see two individuals. The first was a young lady with dark chin-length hair on both sides of her face, and she has a fringe that reaches her eyebrows. She had a scar across her nose, a necklace with a red gem on it. And her most prominent feature, her left eye is red, while her right eye is bluish-green. The second individual was another young woman with lengthy blonde hair, blue eyes, and a very fair complexion. Her clothing was unusual to say the least, consisting of black leather pants, high-heeled boots, a corset, double belts, a choker, and some kind of wrist accessory. Dante. Ah, there you two are. I thought you ditched me. Black hair. Hey, Dante. Why are you back here? I thought you had businesses with your brother here. Dante. Well, we were. But we had to cut it short. Blonde hair. Does it have something to do with him? She pointed at Issei, who stood where he was in silence. He was trying his damn best not to do something perverted right now. But it was very hard, like there was two beautiful women right in front of him. Sure, they didn't have big breast. But still, they looked gorgeous. Dante. Oh yeah, girls say hello to Issei. He looked at Issei. Dante. Issei, these are my friends co-workers you can say. Black hair. Sup kid, name's Lady. Blonde hair. And I am Trish. Issei. Nice to meet you both. He bowed a little. Lady. The kid's got manners. Heh, I already like him. Issei chuckled slightly and scratched the back of his head. Issei. Well, I am from Japan. But I'm honestly surprised you can understand me. Vergil. Probably something from the portal that brought you to our world. Hearing this got both Trish and Lady's attention. Did they hear that correctly? Did Vergil just say what they think he said? Trish. Did you say a portal? Lady. Brought this kid here from his world to ours. Dante smirked. Dante. Yeah, Issei here isn't from our world. He's from a completely different one. They looked over at Issei, who was chuckling nervously. He wasn't used to getting this much attention, especially since there were two girls looking at him. Issei. Yeah. It's true. Lady. And I thought fighting demons was something, but this is a whole new thing. Trish. How did you manage that? The brown-haired boy sighed. Issei. You don't want to know. Trust me, it's best that you don't know. He then started scratching the back of his head. Issei. All I say is that multiverse theory is a bitch. Dante. So is life. Lady crossed her arms. Lady. So, is he gonna be staying with us? Vergil stepped forward. Vergil. He will be staying with us until I can find a portal to send him home. By then he should have mastery over both Dante's and I power. Trish raised an eyebrow. Trish. You're going to teach this kid? Dante. Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard. Lady. No offense, Dante. But I highly doubt you can teach him anything. Remember a version of you taught an uncertain someone in another universe and became almost like you. Meanwhile in another universe. Break. Achoo. Why do I feel like someone is talking about me? Raven. You're probably imagining things again, dear. Break. Yeah, you're right. Raven. Now, you want to go for a few more rounds. Break smirked as he kissed his wife. Back with our universe. Dante. Hey. Issei merely blinked, not sure what they were talking about. Did something like him happen to someone else or what? Issei. The fuck is happening? Vergil looked at Issei. Vergil. Ignore them, they are nothing but distractions that will get in your way of training. Issei. Okay. Dante looked at his brother, if he knew him, and he certainly does. He will most likely try and start Issei's training right now. Dante. Vergil, let's train the kid tomorrow. It's late. Vergil sighs. Vergil. Very well, but I ain't staying in this filth. I'll see you tomorrow. Vergil turned and opened the doors, leaving the shop. Issei looked at Dante. Issei. Is he always like that or what? Dante. Sometimes he can be a spoiled little brat. Come on, I'll show you where you're sleeping. Issei. Okay then. Issei had a feeling he was gonna regret accepting their offer, he just gets that feeling. But it's not like he had any other choice, it was either go with them or be stuck in a world full of demons who could easily tear him limb from limb. Small time skip brought to you by Lady aiming a rocket launcher at you. Dante led Issei to the living room where he would be spending the night. Issei took in his surroundings, he couldn't help but feel a sinking feeling in his stomach. The couch, while not the most comfortable place to rest, was better than nothing at all. Dante had handed him a pillow and a blanket, assuring him that he wouldn't be cold during the night. Issei couldn't shake off the thought that his life had taken an unexpected turn. Everything was so surreal, like an isekai anime he had watched, but this was real life, and there was no system or becoming overpowered to help him navigate his way through this new world. He was just a regular guy with no special skills, no knowledge of how to fight or kill, no idea how to wield a sword or fire a gun. Essentially, he was useless at everything, making him feel like a burden rather than an asset. Issei's mind raced with thoughts of how he was going to survive in this new world, as he had no idea what was in store for him. For him, this was just another addition to the story of his life, a life full of unexpected twists and turns that he never saw coming. Issei let out a small sigh. Issei. Let's just get some sleep. He closed his eyes for a brief moment, but he soon reopened them to see nothing. Issei. Huh? Issei's eyes widened in shock as he suddenly found himself suspended in a seemingly infinite void of absolute nothingness. The darkness around him was all-consuming, stretching out for miles in every direction, leaving him feeling disoriented and confused. He couldn't help but wonder if he was still sleeping and experiencing some sort of vivid dream, or if he had somehow been transported to another realm entirely, far removed from the familiar surroundings of the Devil May Cry shop. As the realization dawned on him, Issei blinked rapidly, trying to make sense of his surroundings and figure out where the hell he was. So, we finally meet my host. Issei perked up by the sudden voice, just what the hell was that? He hoped that he wasn't going crazy, or that it was Dante pulling some sort of prank on him. Issei. Who said that? The voice let out a small yet out chuckle that echoed throughout the infinite black void. Who I am is not important, what is? Are you worthy? Issei. Huh? Issei was confused, what was the voice talking about? Issei. Worthy? What are you talking about? Suddenly, a massive reptilian eye appeared behind the boy which caused him to look back at it. Are you worthy of being my host? A sudden wave of bloodlust toward Issei, when it hit the boy he could feel his entire body shaking and trembling to the core. Hey Issei. Issei's eyes widened as he quickly sat up, panting heavily as he had woken up on the couch, drenched in a cold sweat. Issei. Fucking hell. I swear I saw the other side for a split second. He looked to the voice who had woken him up and saw Dante. Dante? You okay, kid? Issei's chest heaved as he struggled to catch his breath. His mind was racing as he tried to process what he had just witnessed. The image of the mysterious eye was burned into his memory and he couldn't shake the feeling that it was somehow important. As he caught his breath, Issei considered his options. Maybe he should tell Dante and Vergil about what he had seen. After all, they were experienced demon hunters and might have some knowledge about this strange phenomena. On the other hand, they might not have any information at all. Issei knew that the world of demons was vast and complex, and there were many things that even they don't know about. Despite his uncertainty, Issei knew that he couldn't keep this information to himself. The eye was too important and he needed to find out more. Issei. Dante. Dante. Issei. I saw something in my dream. Dante raised an eyebrow. Dante. What is it? Issei. Something that I hope you and Vergil know. Dante. I'm listening. Third person Pav. Issei was feeling a bit confused. Ever since that strange dream, he hadn't been able to stop thinking about it. Even after telling Dante all about it, the devil hunter proved to be of no help whatsoever. It couldn't be the work of a demon, and that was also backed up by Trish, who, surprisingly, was a demon herself and possessed more knowledge than both Dante and Vergil combined. Trish told Issei that no demon, besides Mundus, could possibly be responsible for what he had seen. However, it couldn't have been Mundus because he was still sealed away. So Issei had been feeling strange ever since that morning, even after being dragged outside by Vergil, who had grown tired of waiting. Vergil wanted to begin Issei's training immediately. Dante. Geez, Vergil. Give the kid a break, will ya? He just had some weird dream and he's still thinking about it. Vergil merely scoffed, rolling his eyes at his younger sibling's words. Vergil. Dreams are nothing to think about, they are illusions that keep one from their goal by making them weak. Dante deadpanned at his brother. Dante. Then why the hell do I keep hearing you sleep talking about your dreams? Vergil. I do not dream, when I close my eyes I train my mind in countless combat scenarios. Dante. Press X to doubt. Dante let out a small sigh and looked at Issei, who was still in deep thought. The boy was still wearing the clothes that he had when he arrived in the demon world. Sure, Dante could have given him something better to wear, preferably a clear pair of clothes, but he doesn't have anything in the brown-haired boy's size. Dante. Hey Issei. Hearing the devil hunter's voice caused Issei to snap out of his thoughts as he looked at him. Issei. Yeah, Dante. Dante. You sure you are still up for training? You don't seem to be in the right mind there, kid. Issei was about to say something, but no words came out. Dante had a point, he has been worrying about that giant eyeball all morning, and it was making him lose his fucking mind. Maybe he should just stop worrying about the eyeball and focus on the start of his training, after all he could use it to find a way back to his world. Issei. No, I'm totally fine. Dante. You sure? You don't have to do th. Vergil. Enough. If he didn't want power then he would have left already. Dante. Geez, Vergil. I was just concerned about the kid. Vergil looked at his brother. Vergil. When were you concerned about anyone, Dante? Dante. Wow, that's rich coming from the dude who once again ripped off his own son's arm. Issei blinked once, twice, and a final time. Issei. Wait, what? Dante. Long story. Vergil wanted more power, so he ripped off his own kid's arm. Issei grew a face that literally said what the fuck on it as he looked at Vergil. Issei. That's fucked up, I feel bad for the mother. Dante. You're not the only one, K. Vergil. Enough. Vergil sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. They haven't started training and already they're being a pain. Vergil. Can we just please start training? Dante sighed, his brother was really no fun whatsoever. He always has to be a party pooper, which is why he'll make a terrible host at someone's wedding or something. Dante. Alright, fine. Issei. So what do I have to do first? Vergil. First, we need to train your body so you are properly fit. Issei blinked. Issei. What? Dante. That's right, kid, we're gonna make you pull a Saitama and Goku. Vergil. I do not know what those two are, nor do I care to know. But your training shall be worse than those two combined. Issei was a little nervous when Vergil said that. Issei. How worse we talking? Dante patted Issei's shoulder. Dante. Along the lines of even death will pity you. Issei said nothing but gulped in fear. Issei. Oh, fuck me. And so, that was the start of Issei's hell known as training, and believe him. He wanted to give up immediately, but he had no other choice but to go through with it, because if he doesn't then he was never gonna find a way back home. Speaking of which, Issei wondered what the time difference between the two words was like. Was time in his world moving slower cause he was no longer there? Was it moving faster? Issei had no idea about anything, it was a brand new experience for the boy. Sure, he hoped that he gets home so he can become Harem King, but what's the point if there will be no girls to have a harem? 1 week. 1 week passed and things were going well, slow but well to some degree. Both Dante and Vergil have had Issei do some basics training exercises like push-ups, sit-ups, squats, some runs around the block and a few other things. Vergil was a little unhappy that things were going slower than he wanted, but he knew he had to be patient. Week 2. Another week had gone by, and Issei has shown some progress. Dante and Vergil have seen that the brown-haired boy has gained some muscle mass and improvement in stamina and endurance. Trish and Lady have decided to help out as well and teach Issei some separate things that will assist him, though that is if he survives. Week 3. Trish started to teach Issei some hand-to-hand combat, some basic defenses, and slowly some martial arts. Issei has gotten distracted numerous times cause of Trish's chest, but she snaps him out of it by literally punching the boy square in the nose. Lady taught Issei everything he had to know about guns, explosives, and various other marksman weapons that made some damage. Like with Trish, Issei would get distracted which Lady would fix by trying to shoot him. Week 4. It was time for Dante and Vergil. The eldest brother taught the boy how to wield a sword. Dante wanted to do that, but he had something more exciting for Issei, and that was teach him his styles. Vergil obviously didn't want Dante to influence their student, but sadly it was too late. Issei found himself in a situation that he never imagined he would be in. He felt like he was in hell. The reason behind this was that he had never trained in his life. He had always been a teenage boy who had a dream of getting loads of girls. For him, the idea of working out or getting combat experience seemed like a useless endeavor. He never felt he would need to fight in a war or anything that required physical strength and combat skills. However, his current situation was testing him in ways he never thought possible. Issei realized that his lack of training made him vulnerable, and he was struggling to keep up with the demands of the situation. If he was to find a way back home, he was gonna need to suck it up and bear through THR pain just a little bit longer, another month or two. Issei was completely exhausted and struggling to catch his breath, beads of sweat were rolling down his face, and his damp brown hair was sticking to his forehead. His clothes were soaked with sweat and dirt, and his hands were calloused from all the hard work he had been doing. Despite his exhaustion, he pushed himself to keep going, determined to finish. Issei. I gotta keep going, I came this far so I can't turn back now. Suddenly, Issei heard a familiar chuckle within his mind, one that he hasn't heard for an entire month now. That's right, partner. Don't give up just yet. Issei. You're back. Oh, partner. I never left your side. I have been watching you. Issei panted as he could feel his vision was slowly getting heavy, most likely due to how tired he was. Issei. What do you want from me? You already tormented me a month ago, why all of a sudden you reappear? Because it's time. You meet me in my real form. Issei was confused by the mysterious voice words, meet him in his real form. What the hell was he talking about? Issei. What the hell are you talking ab? Issei's eyes widen as he slowly turns to see a dragon. I'm so glad I can finally meet you. Face to face. Issei stood in awe as he beheld the colossal creature before him. His mind struggled to comprehend the sheer size and majesty of the legendary beast. Dragons, the stuff of legends and fairy tales, were believed to be the most powerful creatures in the world, ruling over the skies and the land with their immense strength and magical abilities. Issei had read about dragons in books and seen them depicted in anime and manga, but nothing had prepared him for the reality of seeing one in person. The dragon's scales shimmered and its wings stretched out to an impressive span. It was a true force of nature, a living and breathing embodiment of power and majesty. As Issei continued to gaze upon the dragon, he couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder and awe. This was a creature that had been revered and feared by humans for centuries, and now he was standing in its presence. It was a moment he knew he would never forget. Issei. Holy shit. You're a dragon, an actual dragon. I am Drag, the Red Welsh Dragon Emperor of Domination. Issei gulped as the massive creature stared him down. Issei. Well, then, Drag. Why are you here? What did I do to piss off a dragon? Drag let out a small chuckle of amusement as he shook his colossal head. Drag. You did not do anything, Issei Hyoudou. I am just greeting my partner is all. Issei, with every amount of strength he had left in his body, raised an eyebrow. Issei. Partner. Drag. Yes, for you see, Issei Hyoudou. You are my host and partner. Issei blinked. Issei. Say what? Drag. Allow me to explain, partner. Greg went on to explain to Issei that in the past, he was a fearsome dragon known to have powerful flames that could incinerate anything, including gods, much to Issei's shock. Greg then went on to say that he eventually met another dragon named Albion, who was immune to his flames. He was happy to meet someone who can rival him. Drake sealed his flames and started to compete with Albion to improve themselves, developing techniques such as boost and penetrate, and both eventually became famous as the two heavenly dragons. During their many battles to improve themselves, both the heavenly dragons rampaged in the realm of the dead. At one point, while continuing his battle with his arch-rival, the vanishing dragon, Albion, which was interrupted by the angels, devils, and fallen angels who were at war during the time. In anger, both dragons attacked the leaders of the three factions, which led to their bodies being destroyed. Over the centuries, Drake has met with countless hosts possessing his sacred gear, some of whom have faced off against possessors hosting Albion's spirit to continue the dragon's long-lasting rivalry, until Issei became his host ever since he was born. Issei. Wait, so you have been with me since I was born? Drake nodded his head. Drake. Yes, but at that time you were very weak, so I fell into a deep slumber. Issei. Still, the fact that you have been with me for basically all of my life is a little weird. Greg. What I find weird is that despite being exhausted, you're still able to speak with me, partner. Issei waved the dragon off. Issei. Plot convenience. Greg. What? Issei. So, I get that we're partners, but does this mean we're technically brothers? I mean you were with me when I was born. Greg. Well, yes and no. Issei. Alright then. Issei was still trying to wrap his head around what was currently happening. Not only did he end up in a demon world and met two people who had supernatural powers, but he also had a dragon inside of him. How could this get any more weirder? Issei. So, what does this mean for me? You know, having you. Greg. Well, I will grant you immense power. But this will mean that powerful enemies will want to seek you out. They will want to either recruit you or take you out of the picture. Issei. I accept. Greg was a little surprised, but he soon chuckled. Greg. Oh. You accept? Even though there is a chance that you'll be hunted down? Issei let out a small chuckle. Issei. Greg, if you take a look at my current position, I don't see a reason to not accept you, plus it's not like Dante or Vergil can sense you. The Welsh dragon took a moment to think about what his partner said. Well, it was true that both Dante and Vergil were clearly not human. He wasn't sure if they would be interested in him and his power. They probably already have great power without a need of any help. Well, Dante does anyway. Greg. You do have a point, partner. Also, there is a way for you to return home. Hearing this instantly gained Issei's full attention. A way back home. There was actually a way for him to return to his home, to his family and friends, to Yuma who was waiting for their date. Issei felt that it was almost too good to be true. The brown-haired boy had to be imagining this. Issei. Here's a way for me to get home. Greg. At your current level of power, no. But with a little bit of time you should be able to open a portal to the dimension gap. Hearing those words caused Issei to raise an eyebrow in curiosity and confusion. What the hell was the dimension gap? Issei. What's the dimension gap? Greg. I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say that it's a place in between all dimensions where reality, space, and time are wrapped completely. Issei. Oh. Greg. Anyways, enough talk. It's time. Issei raised another eyebrow in confusion. Issei. For what? Greg grew a small smirk. Greg. It's time for your awakening. Third person Pav. Issei. 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 Issei's eyes shot open as he panted slightly. He looked around and saw that he was still out the back of Dante's shop. Devil May Cry. The boy looked and saw both Dante and Vergil standing in front of him, the younger sibling a little concerned for the brown-haired boy, while the eldest had a look of disappointment. Vergil. Now is not the time to daydream, we must continue your training. Issei. Alright. Sorry. Dante looked at his brother with an annoyed expression. Dante. Would you cool it for a sec, Vergil? The kid looks like he saw a ghost. Vergil scoffed as Dante looked back at Issei. Dante. You alright, kid? You went silent on us for a minute. Issei fell silent again. He wasn't sure if he should tell Dante and Vergil about Drake. Neither of them probably know anything about the dragon, since he was from the boy's own world, rather than the one he was currently in. Although, he can't keep a secret from them, and there were two reasons why. The first, they were taking their time to help train him so he could find a way back to his world. They didn't need to, he didn't ask them to train him to wield their power. They were doing this by their own choice, so he kinda owed them. The second reason, and the most important one is, Issei was kinda bad at keeping secrets. Sometimes he tends to forget that a secret is in fact a secret and accidentally spills the beans. So, he should probably just tell them. Dante. Issei. Issei sighed. Issei. I'm okay, but I just discovered something. This gained Vergil's attention as he raised an eyebrow. Vergil. What is it? Issei. I kinda met someone. Dante. Huh. What do you mean, Kai? Suddenly, a red light covered Issei's arm as the trio saw a red gauntlet with a green jewel and 2 golden spikes. Greg. The one my partner met is me. Dante. Vergil. Dante. Vergil. Issei was slowly starting to get worried about the 2 brothers, they weren't saying anything. Issei. Dreg. I think you just broke them. The dragon merely chuckled from the gauntlet. Greg. Well, I have been known to leave many speechless with my presence alone. Issei. Yeah, 'cause you're a fucking dragon. Greg. Touché, partner. Dante. Okay, am I getting to that age where I hear things, or did that gauntlet really talk? Vergil looked at Dante. Vergil. Dante, you're only 40. Dante. Oh, right. Vergil sighed. Sometimes Dante is the embodiment of stupidity. Like, how can someone forget their own age? Either way, they should probably remain focused on what's happening in front of them. Vergil. I believe we deserve an explanation. Dante. Yeah, who or what is that, kid? Issei held up the gauntlet. Issei. I think he can explain everything to you. Greg. Greetings, Dante and Vergil. I am Dreg. Dante merely waved. Dante. Yo. Vergil. Who or what are you? Why are you with Hyoudou? Greg. I am known as the Welsh Dragon of Domination, one of the 2 heavenly dragons. I am a being with enough power to kill gods. Hearing this gained Vergil's attention. Power to kill gods. That is certainly something interesting to the eldest Sparda child. Vergil. Interesting. Dante made a mental note to keep Vergil away from the gauntlet. He could tell by the tone in his voice that he was planning on ripping another arm off. Dante. So, why are you with the kid, Dreg? Greg. That is simple, he is my partner and the next Red Dragon Emperor. I was only awakened due to the training you both have been putting him through and the fact that we are no longer in our own world. Dante. Whoa. Vergil. How did you end up in that gauntlet? Greg sighed. Greg. Well, facing my rival, Albion. We ended up on a war between the 3 factions. They soon teamed up again, overwhelmed both of us, which resulted in us dying and our souls being sealed into sacred gears. Vergil. I see. Dante crossed his arms. Dante. So there's crazy shit in your world too, kid. Issei shrugged his shoulders. Issei. I wouldn't know, I haven't seen shit. Vergil. Even more of a reason to step up his training. Issei. Huh. Dante. I gotta agree with my brother on this, kid. If your world has things like angels and Greg. Devils. Dante. Sorry, has devils in it, then we're gonna need to speed things up. Vergil nodded his head. Vergil. Issei couldn't help but groan in annoyance. Why did things have to go from bad to bloody worse? Like seriously, if it wasn't bad enough that he was in another world, but turns out his world wasn't good either, there was supernatural beings in his own. Dante. Come on, kid. It's time. Issei. Huh? Time for what? Vergil looked at Dante. Vergil. You still think that he is ready for this, Dante? Dante smirked. Dante. What, you worried about the kid? Vergil scoffed. Vergil. Hardly, but I'll be annoyed that this would have all been a waste of my time if he dies during this test. Issei tilted his head. What test? What the hell were the 2 talking about this time? Issei feels like he should be worried cause nothing good comes from tests, usually they are bad news for the student. Issei. May I ask what this test is? Dante sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. Dante. Well, we were hoping to hold this off until the end of your training, but our uninvited guest has changed our plans. Issei. So, what's the test? Vergil stared into Issei's eyes with a serious expression. Vergil. The T to see if you are truly worthy of our powers. Issei didn't know how to respond to this. Can he be worthy of their powers? The brown-haired boy's mind was racing with a flurry of thoughts, each one colliding with the other, making it difficult for him to focus. Doubts clouded his mind as he wondered if he had what it took to overcome the final test. Was he truly worthy of wielding both Dante and Vergil's power? Could he even survive the challenge that lay ahead? The weight of the situation was almost suffocating, and he found it hard to take a deep breath. Despite having a literal dragon inside his arm with the power to kill gods, he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the task at hand. The thought of failing filled him with anxiety, and he couldn't shake the fear that he might not be good enough. But he knew that he couldn't let his doubts get the better of him. He had come too far to give up now, he needed to keep going or else he'll never go home. Greg. You alright, partner? Issei. Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay, Drake. With a look of determination, Issei stared at the Sparda brothers in the eyes. Issei. So, when do I begin? Dante and Vergil were both surprised by the boy's unwavering determination in the face of such a daunting challenge. They had expected him to be nervous about taking the test, as it was far from a simple one. The test would require him to give his all and push himself to the absolute limits, with the risk of potentially fatal consequences if he failed. However, as they looked into the boy's eyes, they saw a fierce determination burning within him. It was clear that he was ready to face whatever challenges came his way, no matter how difficult they may be. This realization brought a small smile to both Dante and Vergil's faces, as they knew that they had found a truly special individual in this young boy. They could only imagine the great things that he would go on to achieve in the future with that kind of unyielding spirit. Vergil. You shall begin right now. Both Dante and Vergil summoned their weapons, Devil Sword Dante and the Yamato. Issei. What are? Sink. Issei's eyes widened in horror as he felt the brother's weapons impaling him. He coughed up blood, struggling to stand on his shaky legs as his vision began to blur. Greg. Partner. Despite his attempts to speak, no words came out of his mouth, leaving him helpless. Dante. I hope you survived the trials, kid. Dante's words only confused the boy as he collapsed to the ground, his world fading to black. As Issei's consciousness slipped away, he wondered if everything he had been through was for nothing. Had Dante and Vergil trained him just to let him die? The thought sent shivers down his spine, but he pushed it aside, reminding himself of the kindness Dante had shown him. In a way, the demon hunter had become a father figure to him, which was ironic since Issei already had a father back in his own world. Just when Issei thought it was the end, he began to groan softly, struggling to open his eyes. As he slowly regained consciousness, he found himself in a strange place, surrounded by nothing but 3 pathways. The paths ahead of him, one of them was covered in blue flames, one in red gems, and the third covered in green flames. Issei. What the hell? Partner. Issei's eyes widened as he turned to see Drake in his dragon form, allowing the boy to get a better look at the massive creature before him, and he will say that Drake certainly looks the part of God-killing being. Issei. Drake. Drake. It's me. Issei looked around for a moment before looking back at the Welsh dragon. Issei. Where are we? The dragon looked at the 3 paths in front of the boy. Drake. This must be the trial that Dante mentioned, the red is Dante's while the blue is Vergil's. Issei nodded in understanding as he turned and looked at the green one, crossing his arms in confusion. Issei. What's the green one then? Drake. That is my trial for you. This surprised Issei. Drake had a trial for him. When did this happen? Cause last time Issei checked, he didn't need to prove he was worthy of the dragon's power. Issei. Wait, you had a trial for me. Drake scoffed as he crossed his arms at the boy. Drake. You think I would just give anyone my power? Issei. Yeah. Drake. Wrong, you have to earn it. And I won't be helping you with Dante's nor Vergil's trials. Issei sighed. Issei. I figured as much. What happens if I fail? Drake. Issei didn't need to ask Drake again, he could already tell by the silence that if he fails these trials then going home will be the least of his problems. Issei shook his head. Issei. Well, here goes nothing, but where should I start first? Drake. Why you asking me? Issei. Helpful advice. I don't know how this works and I don't want to die. Drake sighed. Drake. Partner, you choose to do this, and only you alone can complete these trials. You can't look for shortcuts or cheat codes to get out of this, you must choose the path. Issei looked at the 3 paths, not sure which to choose. Issei. But, I don't know. Drake. Remember Issei, this is your destiny. You are the one who needs to make the choices, make your own path to achieve your goals and dreams. As soon as Issei heard those words, he immediately froze in place. His destiny was his own, it didn't matter which path he chose because he will conquer it and prove himself to Vergil and Dante, he will prove that he is worthy enough to wield their power. Issei, thanks Drake. I needed that. Drake. Don't thank me yet, now choose. Issei looked at the 3 paths in front of him, this wasn't like an anime moment where he destroys the 3 and makes his own. He had to choose and he was now ready for that. The brown-haired boy turned his head to the blue path, Vergil's trial as he stared at the flames which illuminated his face. Issei. I already know. With that, Issei began to walk down the blue path, completely ignoring the flames around him, because while they felt real they were only tricks on his mind. Issei. I'll start with Vergil's trial. Drake watched Issei walk off into the distance as he let out a small chuckle, he had to say that he certainly picked an interesting human as his host this time. Actually, did he pick him or was it just fate that decided that they should be partners? Drake wasn't sure what shall their future be, but what he does know is that there is a chance of something interesting down the line. He soon turned his attention to the green path and stared at it. Greg. Let's hope he survives that trial first. Issei looked around the blue flaming hell around him. He remained calm as he continued to walk through the flames. After a few minutes he soon came to a stop when he found himself in a very large room. Issei. Issei looked around and waited for something to happen until. You're weak. Issei. Huh. Issei looked around for the voice he just heard, but all he saw was nothing. Pathetic. Issei looked around again. The voice sounded like it was right next to him, but there was nothing there. Plus, the voices sounded familiar to him. Issei. Who said that? You disappoint us. There it was again, another familiar voice, but he couldn't see where it was coming from. Issei. Woe's saying that show yourself. If you had the power, you could have saved us. You could have prevented our deaths. Issei. Us? Deaths, who are you? Show yourself. The brown-haired boy was soon struck in the face by some mysterious force as he fell to the ground, groaning as he held the side of his face that was struck. He turned to see who attacked him, but his eyes soon widened as he saw. It was his mother. Issei. Mom. You are no son of mine, you failed us. Issei was confused. Why was his mom here? Was this a part of the trial? Had the test already begun? As the boy was thinking all of this, he was kicked in the back, which made him cry out in pain as he turned and saw that his father was also here as well. Issei. Dad. Fake Mickey. Because of you, those fallen angels murdered us for giving birth to you. Issei. What? As Issei witnessed the room around him begin to warp and change, a torrent of thoughts flooded his mind. He felt disoriented and confused as he struggled to make sense of the situation. Was he dreaming? Was he hallucinating? Or was something else entirely happening? Suddenly, the world around him shifted and he found himself standing in his home, in the middle of the living room. He looked around, trying to orient himself and make sense of his surroundings. The walls and furniture looked familiar, but there was a strange energy in the air. As Issei tried to regain his bearings, his eyes landed on something in front of him. Issei's heart raced as he stumbled backwards, trying to process the gruesome scene before him. His mind was in a state of disbelief as he struggled to comprehend the cruel fate that had befallen his parents. The spears of light seemed to pulsate with an eerie glow, as if mocking him with their deadly power. The room continued to warp and twist around him, adding to the sense of disorientation and terror that consumed him. Issei felt as though he was trapped in a nightmare from which he could not wake. He wanted to scream, to cry out for help, but his voice was stuck in his throat. As he stood frozen in place, the weight of his loss began to sink in. The realization that he was now alone in the world, with no one to turn to, hit him like a ton of bricks. Issei. Mom. Dad. Fake Mickey. Issei. Fake Goro. Why didn't you save us? Tears streamed down the boy's face while he placed his hands on his head, attempting to ignore the repetitive voices echoing in his ears. He struggled to believe that it was real, it had to be a hallucination or something. However, the voices persisted, repeatedly taunting him with words like failure, weak, pathetic, and useless. Issei couldn't comprehend why this was happening to him, why he chose Vergil's path instead of Dante's or Drake's. He believed that even if he chose the other paths, they may not have been any better than the one he was currently on. You could have saved us. You could have prevented this if you had the power. The word power struck Issei like a spear hitting an animal. He realized that this whole trial was meant to prove that he was worthy of wielding both Dante and Vergil's power, since he had chosen the blue path, which was Vergil's. As Issei slowly raised his head, he began to understand what was happening. This was a message telling him that he needed to be strong and have the power to protect those close to him, to keep them safe from any harm that may come their way. Issei. Power. Issei closed his eyes, allowing the word power to sink into his brain as he finally understood everything now. Issei. Yes, I get it now. Issei slowly opened his eyes, although one of them had changed color from its regular chocolate brown to a bright blue. Issei. I need power, more power. The flames reacted to Issei's words started to get brighter and brighter as they rose up. Issei slowly stood up as he stared at bodies of his parents, tears no longer streaming down Thr boy's face as he held up one of his hands. The flames began to move up into the air before heading towards Issei's hand. A bright blue light appeared as the flames soon took the form of Vergil's weapon. The Yamato. Issei. The Yamato is mine. He drew the weapon and with a lightning-fast slash, the entire room shattered into millions of pieces like glass. He had done it, he completed the first trial and claimed Vergil's poet as his own. But he knew that there were still more to do before this whole test was over with. Issei soon found himself back at the pathways, only this time there were 2 instead of 3. Drake. How was it, partner? Issei turned to Drake, his blue eye going back to its regular chocolate brown color. Issei. I completed it, Vergil's is done now. Drake. Which one's next? Issei fell silent as he looked back at where Vergil's path once was, staring at the now barren spot before he turned his head to Dante's. Issei. Dante shall be the next. Greg. Oh, saving me for last are we? Issei chuckled. Issei. Can't you blame me for wanting to be prepared for whatever hell you got for me? Greg. True, well good luck partner. Issei nodded as he began to walk down Dante's path. He wasn't sure what was waiting for him, but it couldn't be worse than Vergil's. Third person Pav. Issei ventured down Dante's path, making his way toward his trial, as the boy hoped that whatever awaited him wouldn't be as bad as Vergil's. As he walked, he couldn't help but take in his surroundings. The whole pathway was different than the last he went down. Instead of blue flames, there were red crystals which littered every single part of the path. The crystals were pretty cool, although unlike his mother Issei wasn't really into things like jewelry cause he never understood the concept of wearing a rock to look better than you already did. Either way, Issei wondered why Dante decided to have his path like this and not like Vergil's. Issei wasn't sure why this was the case. Well, he understood the difference in color since Dante was red and Vergil was obviously blue. But what he didn't get was why he didn't use flames like his elder sibling did. Was he trying to take it easy on Issei or something? Issei. Why did Dante choose crystals? Are they meant to show me something? The brown-haired boy continued to venture down the path, though as time went on it felt like he was going around in circles, because it was starting to feel like the path he was currently on was endless or something. Issei. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. What am I supposed to do here? Issei crossed his arms as he began to think. He needed to take this moment to figure out what his next move should be, or else he's gonna end up in a whole lot of shit. So, what he does know is that the trials are meant to prevent his worthiness to wield Dante and Vergil's power. He already completed Vergil's by knowing that he will need power to protect those close to him like his parents and his future harem, well, if he even gets back home to have one that is. If Vergil showed him that he needed power, what would Dante want to show him? Issei let out a small sigh. Issei. Geez, they certainly don't make this easy for me. Meanwhile with Dante and Vergil. Dante let out a small yawn as he was sitting on a chair. Standing next to him was his older brother, as laying a few feet away from them was the body of Issei Hyoudou. They pierced the boy's body with their weapons to begin his final test, although now there was only one weapon left, which was Dante's. The younger SPARDA couldn't help but chuckle in amusement, which got Vergil's attention. Vergil. Dante, what do you find amusing? Dante. Oh, nothing. Just the fact that the kid managed to complete your little trial. Vergil rolled his eyes. Personally, he was a little annoyed, mainly cause he had a different idea for Issei's test, but Dante insisted that they take it easy on the boy since he had a lot on his plate. He was from another world, one where there is supernatural beings such as dragons and gods. He was forcefully taken away from his home and thrown into an unknown place where he isn't sure if he will ever go back. Vergil guessed that having Issei take a more easy test would be the least he can do. After all, the boy did something that no one else in the world has ever done. Catch Vergil's interest. Vergil. Dante, he only completed the trial because you begged me to quote-unquote take it easy on him cause you felt bad. Dante chuckled slightly. Dante. Maybe you started liking the kid. Vergil merely deadpanned. Vergil. The day that happens is the day I stop my pursuit of power. Dante. So. No. Vergil. Never. Dante flinched as he grumbled. Why did his brother have to bloody scream it at the top of his lungs? Like, Dante was sitting right next to him, so there was no need for any of that. Dante. Okay. Geez, you don't have to shout. Vergil. Then don't assume that I have changed. Dante rolled his eyes. Just then, the back door opened as the SPARDA brothers looked over and saw Trish and Lady come outside. Dante. Hey, ladies. How's it going? Lady. Fine I guess. Trish looked over at Issei. She had to say that. She didn't really like the fact they had to literally stab the poor boy to start the trial, but there wasn't really much she could do. Trish. How is he holding up? Dante. The kid. He's fine. He finished Vergil's trial. This surprised the two women. Lady. Really, he chose Vergil's trial first. Trish. That kid must be insane. Dante chuckled. Dante. Geez, you both sound worried for the kid. He then grew a small smirk. Dante. Are you two falling for high? Dante was cut off as Lady threw a pizza at the younger sibling's face. Both she and Trish had a small red blush on their cheeks. Lady. Shut up, Dante. Dante removed the pizza from his face and smirked. Dante. Oh. So I was right. Dante laughed his ass off and rolled on the ground. Both Trish and Lady growled in anger as they proceed to beat the ever-long shit out of Dante. Vergil watched this happen and couldn't help but let out a sigh in annoyance. Vergil. Idiot. He shook his head as he turned his attention back to Issei. Vergil. He should be on Dante's trial now, probably won't take long considering how soft Dante is. Back with Issei. Issei groaned in annoyance as he continued walking for what felt like hours. He swears if he doesn't find whatever he is looking for, then he was gonna throw a bloody temper tantrum. Like, was Dante's trial meant to have him remain calm or something? If that is the case then he was failing already, but if this whole place was just to mess with him then he was gonna sock that white-haired bastard in the jaw the next time he sees him. Issei. Dante, I swear to God. Although, something didn't feel right to him, and he wasn't sure how to properly explain it. The deeper he ventured, Issei felt like that he was being watched by someone or rather something that was close and yet just out of reach. He wasn't sure why though, maybe he was just losing his mind, but it honestly did feel like that there was something with him in the path. Watching his every single move. He wonders if it was Drake, but he remembered that the Welsh dragon was waiting for his return after he finished Dante's trial. Issei. So it can't be Drake. Who or what is it then? Issei looked around. Issei. Show yourself. I know you're there. However, Issei only received silence as a response to his demand. Issei. Issei crossed his arms and began to think to himself again, clearly there is something watching him and was most likely a part of the trial. But he didn't understand what was the point, what was Dante's plan with this. There has to be a reason otherwise he just did all of this for shits and giggles. Issei shook the idea out of his head as he was determined to find out what was lurking in the shadows and put an end to this mystery once and for all. However, before he could even utter a single word, a sudden impact struck him square in the face, sending him hurtling through one of the crystal walls like a rag doll. As Issei lay sprawled on the floor, groaning in both pain and annoyance, he couldn't help but wonder why he always seemed to be the one getting punched in the face. This was the second or third time he had been socked in the jaw by someone, and he was starting to get seriously annoyed by it. He knew he had a bit of a reputation as a pervert, but this situation was entirely different from him getting beaten up by the kendo girls. This was a matter of life and death, and Issei was not about to let anyone or anything stand in his way. With a deep breath, he slowly rose to his feet, determined to find out who or what had attacked him and put an end to this madness once and for all. Issei. Alright, let's see who. Issei looked at the massive hole he created when he was launched through the wall, seeing a cloaked figure standing right before his eyes. Issei. Okay then. Who the hell are you? The only response Issei received from whoever or whatever was in front of him were mere growls and snarls, letting the boy instantly know that this thing definitely wasn't human at all. Issei. Okay, definitely a demon. Demon? We my. Issei. Huh. Issei didn't understand what that thing just said, it sounded like Hot was either speaking backwards or talking in gibberish. Issei. The hell did you say? The demon chuckled. Demon? We my, Desai. Issei. Yep, I can't understand this thing. Issei narrowed his eyes as he held out his hand and summoned the Yamato, getting into a fighting stance. This will be his first time using Vergil's weapon, but all of his training has led up to this point, so he can't let it go to waste. The cloaked figure summoned a red energy demon sword before getting into a stance as well and blitzes towards Issei before they both clashed. Issei gritted his teeth as he tried his best to keep up with the demon, but there was a slight problem, and that was the fact that the demon seemed to be more faster than the brown-haired boy. Demon. Wolves. The cloaked figure punched Issei. Demon. Ipples. He kicks Issei's gut, making the boy vomit blood. Demon. Kuoh. Issei tries to punch him, but the cloaked figure grabbed his arm and slammed his elbow onto Issei's arm, breaking it. Issei. Fuck. Demon. Nah, self-sir. Issei gritted his teeth as he glared at the demon. How the hell was this thing so powerful? Actually, more importantly, why did Dante choose this thing for him to face? While he may be having a test, it was one of life and death, and this could very well be his end. Issei. You bastard. Issei tried to attack the demon with the Yamato, but the demon effortlessly knocked the weapon out of the boy's hand and headbutt him, which caused Issei to stumble back. Demon. Ithornu. Issei. Fucking hell. The demon kicked Issei back as he crashed into a crystal all, causing him to scream out in pain as he coughed up some blood. Demon. Snit nivel la fod niet ner bla wuoi, nit odd. Issei. The hell are you even saying? Issei struggled to stand. Issei. Speak normal, damn it. And show me your face. The demon chuckled as Issei's ears were soon filled with the sound of bones breaking and other horrific noises, although it wasn't coming from Issei. It was coming from the demon. Issei watched as the demon grabbed its hood and pulled it back to reveal the terrifying face underneath. Demon. As I said before. I'm you. Issei. What? Demon. Are you deaf? I am you and you are me. Issei stared at the demon, revealed to be himself with a shocked expression. Issei. No, no. This has to be a trick. The demon laughed. Demon. Oh, this is very much real. I am you, I am what you shall become. With little to no effort, the man walked up to Issei and forcefully grabbed him by the neck, lifting him into the air. Issei struggled to break free with his one good arm, but it proved futile. At first, Issei thought it was all just an illusion, some sort of trick that Dante had constructed for the test. However, as he stared at the monster in front of him, he began to realize that this was no mere illusion. This was the embodiment of evil itself, an abomination that had stripped away Issei's humanity. Issei's eyes soon widened. Humanity. Issei. Wait. Suddenly, it hit Issei like a ton of bricks. It was as if a light bulb had turned on in his head. He realized that his humanity was the one thing that separated him from the darkness that threatened to consume him. Just like how Vergil's path had shown him that he needed power to protect those close to him, Dante's test was meant to teach him that he should never give up his humanity, even if he craved power and strength above all else. Falling to the darkness that awaited him was not an option. Issei. I see. This gained the demon's attention as it grew a sinister grin. Demon. Oh, do you finally see the truth? You and I are the same being. Issei grunted in pain as he glared at the demon. Issei. You're wrong. Demon. Huh? Issei. You are not me and I am not you. You are just something that will become a part of me, but I'll still remain on who I and have my humanity, and if it means giving up power to keep my humanity, I'll gladly do it. The demon fell silent at first, but soon growled. Demon. You really are a stupid piece of shit, nothing you'll do will ever change what we'll become. Issei. It will. Demon. Oh, really? How? Issei chuckled as he grew a small smirk, slowly raising his one good arm up. Issei. We both looked into the abyss. Issei proceeded to shove his hand and arm into the chest of the demon, shocking it as it tried to let go of Issei. However, much to its own surprise, its hand refused to let go of the brown-haired boy. Issei. However, when it looked back at us. Slowly, Issei began to pull his arm out of the demon's chest much to its pain and agony. Before long, he removed his whole arm, but it didn't come alone because he also had something very nice, and that was Dante's weapon, his old weapon. Rebellion. The demon's eyes widened as it couldn't believe it. Issei did it. He actually done it. This wasn't a part of the demon's plan, whether it was truly an illusion that Dante made, or it was something else entirely was up for the viewers to decide. Demon. And no, this can't be happening. Issei stared at the weapon for a brief moment before he looked back at the demon, allowing it to see that one of the boy's eyes was now red. Issei. You blinked. Issei then swung the sword upon the demon's head, causing a bright white light to engulf both him, the demon, and the surrounding area. Once the light died down, Issei groaned and looked around to see he was back where he started. Welcome back, partner. Issei turned to see Drake standing behind him. Drake. Great job completing the second trial. Issei panted heavily as his eye changed back to its regular color. He let out a small groan as he used rebellion as a walking stick to keep him up. Issei. Thanks. Drake noticed the boy's broken arm and wondered what the hell did he face. Drake. You alright? That looks like it hurts quite a bit. Issei. I'm fine. I'm fine. Issei panted as he turned to the three pathways, well single pathway now because all that was left was Drake's. Issei. One more left. Drake had a serious expression as he looked down at his partner. Drake. You ready for this, partner? Issei let out a small chuckle as he slowly approached the path, his legs shaking as he panted. Issei. Drake, with all that has happened. He looked at the massive red dragon, growing a small smirk. Issei. Nothing surprises me anymore. That's it guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.